everybody, let's go over some nice dubstep things. I've been wanting to really go over like bass technique, like different types of bass dubstep techniques that you can use, but not specifically like sound design, more like application of sound design. So I'm gonna play this track and then let you guys hear what I made, and then I'll describe like the basses in turn over here, what I did and why I did some certain things. Oh, it's gonna be loud. 3, 2, 1.
Come on!
What I wanted to go over was how to use LFOs inside of Serum for like certain basses. You could do this with different synths as well. It's a little bit tricky to set up, but I think you'll be able to manage just over going through this. Oh, also I have the Promethean skin from Lance Thackeray. Thanks, Mr. Lance Thackeray. You're cool. Okay, so let's go over how these basses are like arranged. So I think there's around 3 basses. Yeah. So in total there's like 3 basses, not that one. This one. Yes. Okay, so there's around 3 basses around here. There's around 3 basses, and basically what they're all doing is they're just alternating between each other to give some nice variation. And you can see that I use the first one as like a hit, the singular first hit, and then I use the other the second one to kind of accentuate that and give like an answer to the call that the first one was giving. And then the third one is just variation to give some niceness. And then I have a sub. Because you can hear the second bass isn't just like static, it's changing its rate by using velocity. So all that I did was I took the bass and I made the bass with just like plain like this when I was sound designing it, and then I just used the velocity to change the rate. And the benefits of that is you can go into your MIDI and now you can change the rate on the fly instead of needing to go outside and then automate everything, go back inside, change the bass arrangement and all that type of stuff. You guys know how tedious that can be. So yeah. In total, it gives you a lot more control, because then you can change most of the basses on the fly. And the nice thing is that if you write your subs, you can go back and listen to what the bass is actually doing alone. So if I would mute this just like that, then I know, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 for this small segment. And then I immediately know I can just write 4 small pieces of sub there. Now, when it comes to like arranging basses, listen to songs that you like and re-engineer them. So, for example, if you like Shinderu by Virtual Riot, try and take like granular, make a bunch of granular basses that sound similar and arrange it like what he arranged his song. Because you're going to learn that a lot of the time you have one singular bass in the beginning, followed by a few basses in the middle, and then the basses in the middle are fillers, so dominant and subdominant. The same way that you have chords, and then you have dominant chords and subdominant chords, then you can have dominant and subdominant rhythmic basses. And you can have as many as you want, just be sure that it makes sense. It should flow. It should always, your mindset should always be, is this flowing? And by flow, I mean, does the next bass, the bass that comes after the previous bass, does it sound like it should be there? It's a bit tricky to get used to, and it takes a lot of practice to hear, but it's a lot more handy to be able to do that way. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was sidechaining and the different types of sidechaining that you can get and the different types that you can do. Now, this is basic. You guys know how to do sidechaining, but I'm talking to the guys that use the fader, because some of you still use the fader and you don't know, but the fader has smoothing, and the smoothing causes it to not sidechain well enough, in my opinion, because I like control. But if you know it's smoothing, then it's fine. But let's look at the different ways that you can do it. So I personally like using LFO tool, because in LFO tool, you can have it running not constantly, but you can trigger it with MIDI over here. So how I have this set up is I have a MIDI out and it's set to port 10. And then this number is supposed to equal this number. And then you're sending MIDI from here to here. It's very simplistic. Now, to get it to trigger correctly, first, turn off the anchor, and it's going to do that. And then you want to turn on envelope mode so it doesn't keep looping again and again and again. Because then what will happen is if you trigger a MIDI note inside of LFO tool, like that, then it's only going to trigger it once instead of looping the whole time. And it's also better than using the gate, because then the length of your note doesn't affect the looping. So it's essentially like a one-shot drum, like an FPC, for example. So this is one way you can do it. And the other way that you can do it is by using 3D Balance. Now, 3D Balance is completely clean. It is real-time automation. So it does not have the same smoothing as the volume knob has in, like the fader inside of the mixer. Now, to trigger that, there's a better way to do that as well. You can use the 3D envelope controller to do that. And then you have a clean sidechain, like this. Wow. Da-da-da. Now, I'm going to leave this project at the bottom of the description, so you guys can look around and poke around at what I did, and maybe like, please don't steal my bases, but just have fun with it, and I hope it helps. Oh, also there's one more thing. Another thing I wanted to go over was bass construction, and like not bass construction, the bass as in BASE for your songs, because sometimes you have too many layers or you have too little layers, and then it sounds either empty or it sounds too full and muddy. So how you get around that is your song should have 5 or 6 sections, and that consists of drums, basses, synths, vocals, and effects, right? And then also there could be like Foley and instruments if you have like real instruments like real drums, or, well, I have real drums here actually, but if you have like pianos and xylophones and glockenspiels and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So the basic thing that you want to do if you're starting out a song, what I would recommend is start out with your sub and your kick and your snare for dubstep, because the rhythm essentially comes from your kick, your snare, and your sub 99% of the time, because that is how dubstep kind of works. The rest is all filling. So if I turn these chord stacks and stuff off, there's going to be this empty spot here, but you'll be able to hear it's like a lot emptier without these fillers, quote unquote fillers. So that's like the basis of the song. And then later you add, like what I did, and the structure that I did is I added the chord stacks next. And then I added the ARP. And then the pad. And then the hats and like the crashes. And then the chants, which are like offbeats from the tri-samples pack. Yeah. Now you can't really hear that. You can't really hear the pad or the ARP, or, well, you can hear the ARP sort of, and like the front is like in the mid background. But the offbeat chants and stuff, you can't really hear that. And that's really very, very subtle. And it always helps to have subtlety in songs, especially like this, because it fills out a track really, really nicely. If you go back and you watch some of Virtual Riot's videos, you'll be able to see that he adds a lot of background elements, like a pad. He adds a synth, a detuned saw, just really high. He adds chord stacks. He adds reverb. Like he has reverb send sometimes, which has like an LFO. I don't know if he still does that, but on his older videos, you'll be able to spot that if you pause the videos. Another thing is like pausing videos on your YouTube channels, like on like videos, do that. Pause Twitch channels. Like if you're rewatching a Twitch stream, pause them and scroll through like their sample packs and stuff, because you can really get lots of valuable information from that. For example, I have my own little pack here, and then you can see, oh, well, Lightchart uses all these packs. I don't use cymatics that much though. Boo. So yeah. But yeah, remember to have fun, stay motivated, and I believe in you guys. Go make some awesome dubstep and join the server if you guys want. There's a lot of cool people in there, and I'll be sure to answer any questions if you guys have any. Also leave them in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and have a great day. Bye!